Nurture and support. Nurture and support. This is a podcast theme song. And it's really short.
Nurture and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Nurture and Support, where we share all of the awesome in all of the internet with all of you. We're the usual suspects. Once again, I am Mel at Karmic9 on Twitter, and with me, as always, is Kelly.
Hi everybody, it's Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter, and glad to be back as well.
Yay! So we've got another week of awesome recommendations for everybody, and mine is a quick little recommendation that I hope all of y'all will find as fun as I did. It's a short little novella by, let me see, I should have been more prepared. You'd think it's the beginning, I'd be prepared. It's a novella called An Etiquette Guide to the End Times, and all of you know by now that I am a big fan of any sort of apocalypse, especially ones that involve a dystopia going on. So this little novella is written by Maia, Sepp, and the last name is S-E-P-P. And I have to say, one of the best things I really love about this little book is the cover, which has a chicken wearing a little gas mask. So it is just charming, and I love it. So the premise of this little novella, and I will tell you, even though there are no pictures in this book, Kelly, it is a very quick little read.
Well, you had me at Ella. As soon as you said, that means shorter.
Yes, and for that, I believe, I don't know how many pages it's technically supposed to be, but I think it's barely a novella. It's really short. I read the whole thing in just one little sitting. But essentially, it's an etiquette guide to the end times. And I'm going to read you the first little bit of the blurb on the back. That it starts out with, "There aren't any zombies yet, but the world is still at the brink of destruction. It's 2028 and global warming has led to rising oceans, crazy weather, and resource scarcity. On top of that, someone just turned the internet off. Seeing as how it's humanity's last chance to turn things around, manners are, understandably, a bit frayed." So the purpose of this little story is the main character, her name is Olive. She writes a little etiquette column for an online newspaper. And they write in with Dear Olive. And she's a big fan of the old Emily Post etiquette guide and things like that. And her premises is just because it's the end of the world doesn't mean that you have to be rude about it. So she lives in, the whole setting here is up in Canada. And this could really happen. One of the things I really liked about it is this could happen anywhere. Could happen in any big city. It's not any great, major, huge apocalypse going on, but what they're going through is basically the slide that any culture, any city, any civilization could go through as the end times approach. As resources get scarce, water starts getting rationed, food, people are having to grow victory gardens, essentially, in their own yards. So she lives in a little suburb of some older homes on basically the street that she grew up in. And they all have solar panels up on the roofs of their houses. They all have are growing food and of some variety in their gardens. She has some chickens in her backyard. And one of the beginning issues at the very beginning of the story of what sets all of the story up is she has 2 extra chickens than she's licensed to have. And she has to hide them. She has to keep them locked up until the morning drone survey goes by. And then she can let the chickens out. So she has 2 extra chickens. And the government starts trying to blackmail her into writing her little etiquette column for them, which her column has gotten very popular. For, those quirky reasons that always come about. People write into her about their mother-in-law being furious that they didn't have an emergency ham when they ruined the first one for a holiday dinner. And is that really right or not? But Olive has some other problems going on, in that she's got some raccoons on her roof defiling her solar array. Her grandfather, who lives with her, has mysteriously gone missing. And, horror of all horrors, Twitter is illegal. Can you believe the world?
Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Yes, Twitter was basically illegalized at the onset of this little end times scenario. But there's a bright spot. Pot, prostitution, and euthanasia are all legal now. There's just no Twitter. So at the very beginning of this story, the internet goes down. Essentially, the company that provides all of that for her section of the country goes bankrupt overnight, and there's no internet and also no cell service for most of them. So can you imagine a world where there's no internet and the government's trying to take you over? You don't have any Twitter. You don't have Twitter. All you have is your neighbors growing pot, prostitution, and there you go. It is the end times. So the government's trying to pressure her into working for them, and essentially she would be having to write things that they want to write, and she's trying to very politely, because she's a polite young lady, get herself out of this situation, and several little hijinks ensue. And it's a fun little story. It's so short that pretty much anything I tell you is going to give some part of the story away, but it is an enjoyable little read. I really, really liked it. It was fun, and it was a nice break from some of the heavy reading material I've been reading lately. So I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know anything much about this author, and I wish I could remember who recommended this book to me, because I know that somebody on Twitter, I saw them talking about it, and that's how I ended up looking it up on Goodreads and adding it to my to be read pile. So I wish I knew who to credit for that recommendation, because I really enjoyed this book. It was really fun. It was a quick little Sunday read for me, and I really couldn't have enjoyed it anymore. And you really need to find out, does Olive get her chickens back? Does she save her chickens from the evil government who confiscates her chickens because she had two more than she had a license for? It's a mystery.
Well, yeah, pot, prostitution, euthanasia kind of sounds like the dystopian Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I think that would be kind of kind of a
Yeah,
cool band name.
absolutely.
So there, well, that sounds good. So, so first of all, what is the great dividing line between a novel and a novella?
It's the word count, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I did just see how many words were in this novel. Let's see. It's got 27,500 words.
Okay.
And at that, I think it's barely into the novella stage. I think it's just a little bit more than a short story. So it's a short read, and it's fun. And I want a little gas mask for all of my chickens now. For
You've
any
got
of you that don't know, I have quite a collection of chickens, which I've just had some surprise chicks hatch out, so
so
I'm
now
thrilled.
more. So now there'll be more coming. So,
So in a
I,
couple of weeks, if any of you are in my area and you want some chickens, let me know.
yeah, I kind of imagine the fitting process of a little tiny would be an interesting endeavor overall. Can't imagine they're highly cooperative for that.
No, mine would not be. I do know some people who have very tame chickens, and they can do all sorts of things to them. My chickens, much like my dogs, just tolerate my existence. I'm only there to provide food and treats and occasional shelter. So my chickens don't respect me about like my dogs don't respect me. So I couldn't say if I could fit a gas mask on one of my chickens or not. Probably not.
My chickens don't respect me. Maybe another good Twitter bio for you to switch to at some point in time.
Yes, I will do that
Just
actually.
like a holiday one, just somewhere, just somewhere in there. You kind of pop that up for a day or two. Very cool. So I'm assuming I could. There's hard copies available. Well, soft copies. I
Well,
don't know what it would be.
it's
Or
available for Kindle, and I do believe it's available for Nook. It says it's available in paperback, but I don't actually know if you'd be able to pick it up in a bookstore. You could probably order it from one of either Barnes& and Noble or Amazon as a paperback, but the ebook is only, I think it's like maybe $2.99. It's pretty cheap, and I'm gonna tell you it's enjoyable if you're looking for a quick read. Whether you want to spend $2.99 or not, it does occasionally. I have seen it go on as a daily deal for like 99 cents, but
I
I
have
really enjoyed it.
I have spent $2.99 on other things that I enjoyed a lot less than it sounds like this book. So,
Yes,
yeah,
it was
well,
one of my better purchases, and I want to say that I got it on when it was on a daily deal for like 99 cents one day. So
cool.
it was a great bargain for me, and I've had it for a while, and I finally sat down and was going through my Kindle and decided, hey, I'm going to read this because it's the end times, and I could always use some tips on being more polite.
There you go.
So it was a good read for me.
Excellent. Good one. So I'll go ahead and offer mine up. Again, I'm a little lower energy than Mel, so instead of actually having to read or something like that, this is although you occasionally have to like move your finger and things. So there's some effort involved here. What I'm going to recommend is the AMC Story Sync for Walking Dead, and this is going to kind of be kind of a combo recommendation. In that it's the AMC Walking Dead Story Sync experience, and then as if you're a Walking Dead fan, Talking Dead follows it, and then Talking Dead offers up kind of a second screen experience too. So I'll talk about both of them. I'm a lot less enthusiastic about the Talking Dead one, just in terms of how it's executed. I think what it does is pretty awesome, but how it does it's pretty crappy. But we'll talk about both a little bit.
Okay.
So the Story Sync one, and AMC's actually done a really good job. They continue to get better and better at this in terms of setting a second screen experience to go on. So they had it for Breaking Bad. For Walking Dead and Breaking Bad are the ones I've had the greatest experience with. And so basically, your show fires up. You can go to lots of different ways you can access it. There are apps you can download that you can use for that, or you can simply go to the AMC website on your tablet, on your laptop, or those types of things, and bring it up that way. And so you'll go into, says Start Story Sync now, and away you go. And what will happen is there'll be a timer at the bottom corner. It'll tell you when the next update is going to come up, and it will provide you little tidbits throughout the show. So if each episode there's a kind of a callback to something that happened earlier, they might include that scene. So you're on a screen will come up, and it'll have go back and watch this original scene when Daryl met Rick for the first time or something like that. Mm-hmm. If a character's using a particular weapon, they might kind of pull that up and have a fact sheet about that particular weapon. One of the things that's been really cool that they've done polls that they do throughout it, and for Walking Dead, it was it's kind of the carnage meter. In Breaking Bad, it was the Heisenberg meter. So you would kind of, depending on what someone had done, they'd ask you to say, so was that action, a chemistry teacher or Heisenberg or somewhere in between, and you could kind of rank them. For Walking Dead, it's the same thing. It's kind of the level of gore and those types of things. And so if there's a particular zombie kill or something goes on, they'll ask you to rate it. And so then you can kind of see what percentage of the people playing or viewing along and interacting, how many people rated it at a 3 if you did, or 4, etc. Guts galore, and oh yeah, we all did that. What's been kind of extra cool about that is, this does seem to connect the relationship between Walking Dead and Talking Dead, in that oftentimes one of the individuals who's on the panel of Talking Dead is doing the second screen experience with you and answering the questions too, so that when you come up to a particular question and answer it, then their picture kind of pops up on what they had answered to. So you kind of see as you're going through and answering where that particular host is kind of going and tracking. So it's kind of interesting from there. I was really pleased that when Matt Jones from Breaking Bad was on Talking Dead, and I thought he was good on Talking Dead, by the way, but he and I lined up nicely in terms of RSS. So I felt good. I'm with Badger on this. It's good. And they always have the morality matrix, which is this matrix of tactically right and it's a 2x2 grid of tactically right or tactically wrong, morally right and morally wrong. So basically you've got these 4 grids to say this was tactically right and morally right, or tactically right and morally wrong, etc., a particular action. And so it's always kind of good to see where people suss out in there. But once again, Badger and I lined up very nicely on the morality matrix too, so it's a good time.
Okay.
So it's a really good thing. You get little tidbits either from the show, the actual show that's airing. They kind of bring you a little extra context. They do some flashback type of stuff. They give you extra detail on either backstories or extra information on a particular site and all of that. You've got these little polls to interact with throughout it. And at the end, they offer up at the kind of tail end screen some clips for the following week, a recap of the making of the other episode, etc. So it's kind of a fun, nice addition to it. It's not too distracting because, kind of the one thing I want to be watching the show. I don't want to be too divided between the two. And its pacing is nice, particularly because there's a little timer down there saying, hey, the next update's coming in a minute and a half. So you can kind of balance it fairly easily. And then you can just kind of swipe, if you're on a tablet, swipe forward and back pretty easily to go forward. So I think it adds to my experience on there. The components are kind of nice. So I would recommend the Story Sync. You can, like I said, you can go straight to the AMC website and get to it, or you can download an app and access it that way and do it off of your phone or tablet. So that's the one part. For Talking Dead, what they've introduced is basically a live polling mechanism during the show. So they'll ask questions for this episode. So who would you rather have lead the group, person X or Y? And the audience gets to respond in real time. You're seeing the results on the screen as that happens, and on the television show as well. They have a quiz, a trivia quiz on the current episode, and you can kind of compete to see how well you do versus other folks. And there's obviously some people out there with incredibly quick reaction times, because even when I get all 3 right, I've never broken like the 10,000th. You finished 10,000th, and so it's hard to tell. One of the things that they have mentioned it on Talking Dead is that they didn't anticipate the level of usage, and so the server seems to be crashing a lot. So this is where I wanted to put the caveat on it that it's a great idea, and to be able to do these polls are really good, but the reliability of the site is a little sketchy, and then on top of that, they don't give you enough lead time. So the situation I'm usually in is I would bring it up on my tablet. I'm watching the show, my tablet has gone to sleep, and they go, hey, we're about to ask a poll. So now I fire my tablet back up, I'm trying to re-bring the site up, and by the time all that happens, the poll's over. So I kind of wish they'd give me a little more advance notice, or I've got to keep going to keep that particular session live on my iPad, but I'm watching the show, I'm not goofing around on my iPad. So
yeah, well, at least you've gotten through. See, I gave up trying to do any of that because I've never gotten to vote in any of the polls for Talking Dead, because I've never been able to get the website to actually give me the poll. So I found that very frustrating, and I've actually given up trying.
Yeah, you might want to. So this next week, you might want to try it again, because I think they did not anticipate the level of usage that they got, and so it was a complete, particularly in the first episode and first 2 episodes, 50-50 proposition at best of actually even making a connection. Now it seems like you can actually get in a little bit better, but yeah. So they still haven't got it figured out. In terms of to get it to work well, but you might want to give it a shot again. You might have a little bit better luck. I know they continue work to try and improve it, but I also think the numbers of people is increasing a lot too.
Yeah, and they need to give you more warning for those polls, because I mean, how many people are actually getting to vote in the 30 seconds they give you? Yeah,
that's a great question on there. So yeah, and so the concept itself, and so this is actually at talkingdead.com/dead carpet. Dead carpet, I think.
I think Dead Carpet is
that's the sweepstakes.
That's the Story Sync sweepstakes. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So that's the Story Sync but
it's Play Dead, I think.
There you go.
It's talkingdead.com Play Dead.
There you go.
I think.
Absolutely. So you can try and go to that. We'll put the links in there for you in the blog post, and you give it a shot. Or actually, maybe none of our listeners should give it a shot and let Mel and I just try and get in.
Yeah, because I'd like to vote once in a while because I take the apocalypse very seriously.
Right.
I would like to be able to answer a poll question, so y'all just stay back and give me a chance.
Absolutely. So I think they'll keep getting that better, and they'll have a chance after the mid-series finale to really regroup and figure out how to handle the volumes they're going through. But it's another nice thing. It's also another level of interaction and kind of fun to pull and kind of do the trivia and those types of things. And because of the live nature of it, it's very cool because basically you're seeing the guest react to the poll that you may or may not be able to participate with. So that part's cool. The story sync, a lot more reliable, less issues there because you don't have this kind of real-time live in the next 30-second thing going. But it adds a lot to it. So I'd recommend any AMC story sync because they seem to do a very good job with it. But I'm specifically here recommending the Walking Dead story sync. A little hard to say, and as well as the Talking Dead polling. So those would be my recommendations for today.
Yeah, I like Story Sync though. I don't use it with Walking Dead as much as I did Breaking Bad. Usually because I'm coming into Walking Dead a little bit late, and I have a couple of commercial breaks to catch up through. So I'm gonna have to start trying to do that a little bit more. But yeah, I like that. I agree. I like the Story Sync. My only problem with Story Sync is I wish they had a way that you could do it when you're not watching live, because I've seen some other shows somehow be able to do it by having your tablet listen to what's going on in the show and be able to sync up with what episode it is and be able for you to get all of that content without having to watch live, since
Yeah.
I'm a big having to watch things off the DVR these days. So
Yeah,
that's my only thing. I wish they would work on that, but otherwise I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great enhancement for this one. I think they've got their content right. I think that capability would be a good addition. Sci-Fi has a sync app for a lot of their stuff, and it does, I believe, have that listening component, so you can kind of, if you're playing off the DVR, it'll be smart enough to kind of connect you up at the right point with the right content.
Yeah, you're right. I think they did just recently add that in. I forgot that. I think the last time I watched something on Sci-Fi that they said you could listen and it would tell what it was. So yeah, that's good. Might get me to use it more on Sci-Fi.
There you go. Yeah. So those are our recommendations for this week. This is typically the point where Mel and I would make our social media recommendations, but we're gonna mix it up this week and give none. So I think that's our game plan.
Keep you guys on your toes. Why don't y'all give us a social media recommendation? That would be good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and do that? So go back and look at just go watch some more Randy Orton RKO vines. Go do that because that'll be just absolutely fine. So
that works. So I think this is the point in every episode where Matt tells you how to contact us, and then you hear some sound bites, and you may or may not hear some howling corgis at the end of the show if you listen all the way to the end, which I hope that you do. So we'll be back next week with more awesome recommendations, everybody.
Thanks.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com. Or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter.
Nurturing and supporting CARNAGE.